What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Guys of Texas podcast, episode 10. I apologize. It's my fault that we were not on last week. I was a little busy uh, at the Rangers game, so I couldn't make it happen. It's my fault. I apologize. But we're back in the saddle now. The Rangers have taken care of business, and now it's only Longhorn baseball until the winter meetings.
Football.
I guess we'll just recap the K-State game just because it's so last Saturday, Texas started out strong again. Malik looked good in the first quarter. It was just running and gunning. We were up 10-0 in the first quarter, go 17-0 at the start of the second quarter. We all look good. Okay, here we go. Like Malik's handling it for us. Defense is playing really well. And give up a touchdown towards the end of the quarter. Really start turning over a lot. It was weird. Malik just kind of seemed to have taken a turn. It's almost like he forgot how to throw a football without being on his back foot. Brooks had a fumble. K-State ends up coming back in the fourth quarter, tying the game. Auburn makes the kick, and then K-State goes right down the field for the last drive with 1 second left and kicks a field goal to tie the game. Texas ends up winning on a field goal in overtime and got lucky with it. So Texas wins 33-0. We avoid chaos for now. But yeah, it was a great feeling in the first quarter, and then after it was like, okay, what are we doing here?
Dude,
what did you guys get from the game?
That was the worst way to win a game, man. I was so angry, and finally we won at the end, and I was still just it felt like a loss, and I was not happy.
Yeah.
It felt terrible. The next day felt great, where you're like, okay, we're 8-1. I'm happy with this. But dude, right after, I was miserable. That was awful. And I mean, the turnovers are one thing, but then also just playing weak defense, like secondary, just playing super soft. It's so frustrating. It just keeps happening game after game. I know Jono and I were talking about it the other day. It's like the most infuriating thing right now to watch is playing 10 yards off. So soft.
What sucks is the rushing was 30 yards. We held rushing to 30 yards.
Which that's the number one rushing team in history.
Yeah, I was about to say Kansas State. That's their bread and butter. I mean, they don't. If you look at Will Howard's numbers through the year, I mean, they don't throw the ball, and they completely flipped their game plan and started forcing the pass. And I mean, like you said, 29 rushes for 30 yards, which is huge against that Kansas State. But then all of a sudden, we give up 327 yards and 4 touchdowns to Will Howard, which is not. Not even a top 5 quarterback in the league, in the Big 12. And, that's frustrating to see. And it's just, we did a lot of good things, but there was just so many things that were frustrating again. I mean, going for those fourth downs again, I mean, I get that Sark wants to push it and that's what he's been doing all year. But I feel like when you have Malik back there, you have to reward him with points. You have to reward that offense with points. And we left multiple times we got down inside that red zone and we just decided to go for it. And it didn't pan out for us multiple times. And it's frustrating. I mean, props to Auburn for being hella consistent lately. When we were kind of talking bad about him for a good minute. I mean, I feel confident with him now. He's been hitting some kicks, but I just feel like with this offense, you got to reward it with points and keep the momentum. And it was frustrating to see that we kept giving them life by kind of just bonehead play calls.
Well, I thought it was weird that we go up, you're playing with your backup quarterback. Yeah, Malik's not necessarily he's a strong backup quarterback. But it seemed like we still didn't stick to the run game after that. You go up 17-0, and it seemed like we just wanted to throw the ball still a bunch. and I feel like it got us in trouble a little bit. I mean, Kansas State. I mean, I'm pretty sure they scored 3 touchdowns on 4 offensive plays. I need to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure off of
Yeah.
turnovers,
I know two of them.
the way
were
we
off
turned the ball
turnovers.
over, I think I want to say I remember it was 3 touchdowns and 4 offensive plays. It's like how do you do that? Like that's
Yeah.
just
I'm dumbfounded that we were able
that,
to stop them at the end of the game. Like with the way they had been, like their red zone offense had been, I thought the game was completely over. I can't believe that we pulled that off.
well, we talked about that. I think I texted at the end of the game. I said, "Okay, we're about to find out if Texas learned anything from their defense they played against OU on the last drive." And it seemed like they did change it a little bit. They were putting a little bit more pressure on, but they were still finding those holes. You know, of course, we're still worried about what referee's going to screw us next. We saw what happened in Oklahoma, and you know, we feel for them too. Not really. I don't really feel for them, but it's happening for both of us right now. Like they're, I mean, the problem is, I don't know if y'all saw the tweet. OU fans are taking it a little seriously. Some guy tweeted about trying to find the address for the
Oh,
referee,
jeez.
and they're gonna beat him to the inch of his life. It's like, okay, guys, like it's still football. Like this isn't an actual war. So of course they're taking it very hard. But it with the Kansas game or Kansas State game, it's I don't know. I don't. It's tough because we know that they made a lot of changes on the offensive line and the defensive line. They had to switch some things around. And Sark talked about that in the post game press conference. Like we weren't our full team necessarily that day. Now it doesn't make an excuse, but at the same time, overall, coming away with a win, getting out of there, like we're gonna have to win some of those games. Now next week, if it's the same game, we won't win that in Fort Worth. Like it just won't happen. Like with that atmosphere in there, if we go down tied in the fourth quarter, it's gonna be very difficult to win that game just because of the momentum that they'll have. I don't see that happening, but that's something we're gonna have to tighten up. Now the good news is I see maybe somebody's day to day now.
It's looking
Have
that
y'all seen
way.
that?
Day to day and posting on Instagram. What is it? Turn me
Yeah.
loose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope so. I
The
mean,
other thing,
no, go ahead, TJ.
well, the other thing I thought was interesting is when Malik got in trouble, there wasn't even a hesitation. They did not put Arch in,
Yeah,
which that was telling to me also.
glad to see it.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm glad to see it too, man. That wasn't the position
Are
to put
you?
Arch in the game. Yeah, that's not the position
I have
to
a
put
bet
Arch
that
in the
Arch isn't
game.
going to play.
Well,
You
and
put
oh, got it. Well, here's the deal: is I don't know. Like to me, it's like you want to give him some game experience. Now you don't put him in the middle of a tight game,
no.
but at some point we're going to see whether or not he actually puts him in there because I'm wondering if he's even good enough to play right now. That's what's scaring me at this point. Like, is Arch the guy that
Yeah.
we think he was going to be?
Won't know till it happens. I mean, it's hard to believe. Like, what can you believe from practice reports and stuff? Because you'll always hear all kinds of
Right.
things. And a lot of news came out from practice and stuff that he's come a long way since the spring game. And he's looking really good. But till it actually happens, we don't really have a clue.
I mean, they were pushing that on the broadcast too. They were like, "Are we going to see Arch Manning in the game?" And I'm like, "Dude, you're not going to put Arch Manning in a tied game
No.
going fourth quarter. This is the shot you're going to give him. Like first impression right here." I mean, dude, Malik's playing his second game starting. Like he's shown flashes of being good. He's made freshman mistakes. He's made bonehead decisions with the ball a couple of times, a handful of times. But at the same time, dude, he only started his senior year in high school, and then this is his second college game. So the dude's played less than 20 games, started less than 20 games his whole career. You're gonna have to give him time. He got pushed into a tough position, obviously, but I mean, I just don't get calling for Arch so quickly. I think you have to let Malik's earn that number two job, and you have to let him take it.
Did y'all hear during the broadcast when Gus Johnson was asking, he was like, "Are we going to see Arch Manning now?" And Joel Klatt was immediately like, "No, that's a terrible idea."
Yeah. Yeah, because I think it was
I don't.
tied when he
And to be
said
clear,
that.
I'm not saying like I want to see Arch play. I'm just saying like when it was 17-0, and then when 17-7, when we go up 27-7 in the third quarter, I thought maybe we might see something there because at that point you were seeing Malik struggle a little bit. And at that point you can get him in there and run the ball. Like just get him some snaps to run. Um that's what I mean is like that's what scares me a little bit is I feel like even those situations I guess we weren't necessarily deep enough into the game because you can't just bring Malik back in after that.
Yeah.
But it's just something to think about in the back of your mind. Like, is Arch really even close to ready? That's what I took away from it. But we'll see going forward. It's just
Less nervous about that. I think more. It's Malik's show at the moment. He's just getting his feet under him. Like, get as many reps as possible. Don't shake his confidence or think about Arch behind him. Like, let Malik really cook. So I'm not really that worried about it.
Malik looked really good in the first quarter. I was like, oh, he learned a lot from last game. Okay, he's getting his feet down. But then it was just like he just forgot his fundamentals in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
It was very weird. You could see it when he's throwing. He's just throwing off that back foot. And I'm not a football guy, but I can tell you that is not how you throw a football. Like you're gonna get picked off quite a lot doing that. You just don't have the accuracy and the umph behind the football when you're sitting on your back foot like that. And that's something that I'm hoping like we can't see that anymore. Like they're going to start pouncing on that. And I don't know if that's pressure and he's getting scared and he's just releasing it before he gets sacked. But the throws that he's making when he does that is not a throwaway throw. It's trying to make a play still. So, he's going to have to learn like some of these throws, you just need to throw it away. Or sometimes you just need to take a sack. Like I feel like he's just rushing sometimes, especially in the pressure of the game.
Are y'all curious about his ability to run this size? I feel like everybody asks like, dude, is he like kind of dual threat? Does he have some speed? But like,
I'm not even talking about dual threat at this point. I just want to see him extend a play outside the pocket. I mean, he'll sit inside that pocket and just sit inside the pocket, and he'll end up making a throw off his back foot, or he ends up getting sacked. I mean, he's not even trying to extend plays with his feet whatsoever outside the pocket, which is just kind of strange from a guy that's obviously athletic.
Yeah.
And even with Quinn, we don't see Quinn as a dual threat by any means, but I mean, he's had a handful of times where he can get outside the pocket and move, and I know that's the reason that he ended up getting hurt. But he was able to extend a lot of plays just rolling outside the pocket. Malik just looks like once he gets in that pocket, it looks like his feet are just stuck, which is just kind of I don't know if that's the coaches really wanting him to be that pocket passer or if that's just his style of play. It's just kind of interesting to see for sure.
Yeah.
And then you see Jonathan Brooks' fumble was bizarre as well. I mean, with how well Jonathan Brooks has been throughout this entire year and last year with turnovers, especially, he fumbles that ball. And I was just like, you got to be kidding me right now. Like, I mean, this is 100% of the game we lose last year. Absolutely. Yeah. The fact that we were actually able to bounce back. I mean, you look at a turnover on downs, inside the red zone, giving up points there, the blocked punt, the Malik interceptions, the Jonathan Brooks fumble. Like it's like the waves just kept coming. And I was like, are we going to be able to actually like stand up here, or is Kansas State just going to roll over us? And this is going to be a 10-point K-State win at the end of the day. And then Malik was able to come in towards the end of that game and lead us on a decent drive. I was going to see how long the drive actually was. It was a 14 play, 69 yards, 6.5 minute drive. I mean, that's huge to come in after all of those mistakes that we made. And we were actually able to maintain a really methodical drive to go in there and get the 3 points. So, I mean, that was good to see. The defense did enough there at the end of the game. I was confident that they were going to not be able to rush it in on us, but it just seemed like we were going to give them the throwing lane consistently. But what a ballsy call from K-State to decide to go for that fourth down, because even at that moment, they still had complete momentum in that game.
Yeah.
And our offense still was shaky at that point. So that was a ballsy call to go for it, I feel like, on that fourth down.
Yeah.
It's crazy the polar opposites of our defense right now. Like the run defense is just stellar, and we're just forcing them to pass the ball. Like it's literally what our game plan is right now, is forcing them go up early and then force them to throw the ball. And the problem is I think, I don't know, we've got to figure it out in the secondary. That's the big key, but it's the coverages that we keep calling. Like we keep going back to this, and it looked like it changed a little bit on that last drive to hold them to at least a field goal. But even then, it was just, everything was a prevent. Like it was zone. There was a couple times they ran man, but I don't know. I'm nervous because you start playing college football playoff. If we were to happen to make that, it's a different game. You're playing Michigan and Georgia and Ohio State. Like it's a different ball game with those guys, and they know how to slice and dice you. So it'll be interesting. I am glad we are not playing Oklahoma State.
They're hot.
Very happy about that.
I mean, we may face the Big 12 championship, but
we might. But at that point, that's fine.
That big.
I agree. I mean, Oklahoma's really showing their true colors of just being the fakest team of all time in the Big 12.
They really played their A game, dude. They really played their A game.
I immediately heard rumors that USC reached out to Brent Venables. I don't know if you guys heard that. But on Twitter, I'm not kidding. On Twitter, it was flying across that USC had reached out to Brent Venables. And if that were to actually happen,
they need a DC.
They're burning Oklahoma, the entire state, to the ground if that happens. They will absolutely lose it.
Dude, there'll be such a big
I'm rooting
bounty.
for it, to be honest. Dude, I'm rooting for it at this point.
That would be such a scary coaching combination.
Bro, yeah.
Yeah.
But would they be at USC either? I've heard rumors that, I think we talked about this last podcast, that he's possibly looking elsewhere already.
I would be so shocked if that was actually
the guy crying on his mama's shoulder after the game last week. Like, it's like, bro, like, this is not even the end of the season yet. I did not feel, I don't care, dude. You talked all that game, Caleb Williams, and you can't do that. Like, I want to have ownership in the NFL, whether or not that's true or not. That's been his aura for the last few weeks, this entire season, really. And you can't do that and then go cry on your mama's shoulder in the middle of the stadium. Like, do it somewhere else. Like, don't make a spectacle of it. You knew what you were doing. Yeah. You want people to feel sorry for you so your draft stock doesn't drop. No. Oh, he's got so much heart. He just wants to win for his team. Screw off. No. He's all looking for himself. No. Not
he was the one making fun of Max from TCU last year when he was crying in that press conference. He retweeted it last year and put laugh out loud on it with him crying after they lost a game. And I'm like, okay, dude, what's the difference? That dude lost in a national championship. You lost a regular season game to freaking,
Not only did he lose a national championship, he cried at the press conference. He didn't cry on his mom's shoulder with her hiding his face with a poster. Like, come on, dude. Get off the bottle.
No comments.
Say it. Come on.
I'm not gonna hate on him. My first thoughts immediately were the exact same thing, but then after thinking it through, and I'm not gonna hate on him. There's a lot of emotion in that moment, so I'm not gonna hate.
No, I can't. Normally I would feel bad. When you act that cocky ahead of time and you just do that the difference for me is he did it in the public eye. He did it on purpose in the stands. It was thought through. I can guarantee that. Like, wait till after the game before you start doing that. Like, the fact that he ran and looked for mama at the end of the game is a child's mentality. Like, and if I'm an NFL owner, I look at it that way. Like, that's just how I view it. Like, you're not bold enough to just take it like a man and get in the locker room and then do that afterwards. That's fine. But right after the game is like, no, come on.
It's
Yeah.
not like this game either. I mean, USC
Set.
had two losses going into this game. You know, there's 2 losses going into this game. Oh,
Do we
So
need to put this
John-
on hold for a second?
oh,
We'll be
oh.
right back. We got a fire alarm.
TCU now.
Okay, we're back. We're
We
back.
got
We're
good.
back. No fire. No fire. We're good. All right. Looking ahead. TCU. We got 6:30 games, 7 o'clock games, 6:30 game for the last 3 games, boys. We are night games only.
Of course.
TCU 6:30. What's your boys' thoughts on TCU?
TCU sucks.
I mean,
Yeah.
they really haven't been impressive this year. I mean, they rely heavily on their run game, and I feel confident that we'll be able to stop their run game. I mean, if you look at their quarterbacks, I mean, they played 2 different quarterbacks this year with Hoover and Morris. I mean, it's been kind of average, you know, but obviously we make average quarterbacks look really good. So we'll see what happens there. We just got to jam people at the line, dude. I just hate how we keep giving people that 10-yard cushion. It's so hard. It's got to be so hard to react as a cornerback when you give somebody 10 yards and they're coming full speed at you, breaking their route, and you're sitting there with your feet planted. I just don't, especially with how physical some of our cornerbacks are. I mean, jam them at the line, make them think about it, give the defensive line some extra time to get, because, I mean, dude, our defensive line was ridiculous. I mean, Burke played a ridiculous game last game, and I know you sent me that with potentially him coming off like a surgery. You know, I was trying to like,
3 days?
Yeah, dude.
I was like trying to confirm that. I'm like, dude, how do
Yeah.
you come off of surgery and then have like the game you just had?
I don't understand MCL surgeries, apparently.
Look, it's confirmed. Yeah, I don't either. Like, apparently it's not as bad as what I think it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think if you look at it's a very confusing team if you look at TCU. They lost by a touchdown to Texas Tech last week. Kansas State beat them 41-3. So it's like, obviously, like we saw what Kansas State's capable of, you know, last game. It's really confusing when you look at TCU. They really haven't had any really impressive wins this year. So, but obviously
that's the problem for me. It's like, so for me, as I've learned a lot in the last couple of weeks as a Ranger fan, right? We always sit there and we're like, all right, this always happens. This always happens. We're going to end up losing it towards the end. And I finally let it go in the beginning of the postseason, and I just enjoyed it. TCU sucks. They're a terrible football team. And as long as, if Quinn comes back, we demolish him. I'm just going to call that right now. If Quinn is back, we demolish him. Even with Malik, I don't think they stand a chance. They're not a K-State like caliber at all. Like they're not some of these other guys that have played as close. Like TCU has been terrible. Like to go from championship game to what they have played is ugly. And
they had such an easy schedule.
I think,
too.
I mean, yeah, they've got to beat
through and their schedule's ridiculous.
us or Oklahoma, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they have to beat us or Oklahoma just to make a bowl game at this point.
It's true. They're at 4 wins right now, and they got us, Baylor, and Oklahoma left.
Yeah, so they've got to beat one of us in order to even go to a bowl game. Like
this is their bowl game at the end of the day.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I know that's the problem. Is everyone plays Texas a little different. The only
Yeah.
factor is we're playing it at their house. They're playing. It's the last time they play Texas. Hoorah! Here we go again. I think it's a blowout. I don't see it being close.
Still get nervous about.
I know we want to be
NTC
cautious
right
because we're towards. And I get it, but that's the thing. That's what I'm trying to say is like, call a spade a spade. Yes, Texas has always, towards the end of the season, had those moments where they just shit the bed. They just let it all go and like, okay, we're just going to lose the last 3 games. I just don't see it this year. Like there was enough fight at the end of that K-State game, even with as much adversity they went through. There was enough fight to get it back. And if Quinn is playing that game last week, we demolish K-State. Like they do not make it close because we're not going to have that many turnovers as we did.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's be real here. Quinn comes back, it's going to be over. But even the way Malik's been playing, I think Malik learned a lot again. Now this will be the first time he would play outside of home field advantage. So that will test him a little bit, but man, I don't think this is going to be close. My prediction for this game is going to be it's going to be 42-10. That's my prediction.
Okay. My prediction is going to be 41-28. Like I was saying,
Okay.
I always I have the nostalgia of always being nervous of going into Fort Worth. Like it was always just such a nerve-wracking game, but I just don't think it's warranted this year. Like they've shown what they are, and I think Texas is rebounding. Everybody's getting healthy, and I do think it's going to be a blowout. Yeah. And either way, if Malik comes back, I still think we can run it down their throats and not have a problem.
Yeah, I'll go
I mean, Kansas State beat
38-13.
them 41-3.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm confident going into this game. I was surprised that the line was only 10. But I think that's just from the fact that our history with TCU the last decade hasn't been good. We've struggled with TCU
It's wild.
for a while now.
Look at their scores. I mean, the highest point total they have, points scored in Big 12 play is 44 points against BYU. But all of their losses, the most points they scored was 28. And they scored 3 against Kansas State. They scored 14 against Iowa State. They scored 21 against West Virginia. And those teams are, I mean, Iowa State, I guess we'll figure out in 2 weeks what they're really made of because we've got to go there also. That's the one that I'm really, out of the two, the Iowa State one is a 7 o'clock game at that stadium makes me a lot more nervous than this TCU game. Like it's, if we were end up losing this game, it's like, okay, yeah, we're for sure done. We don't deserve to win anyways. We wouldn't have beat anyone in the college football playoffs. So it's just, I don't know. It's going to be a cakewalk, boys. Take a break this week.
I'm excited for it. I'm ready to finally blow out somebody. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, that's the other thing is we haven't really done that.
We kind of did it versus BYU. I mean, it was.
John, did you
yeah.
I said 38-13.
38-13.
Yeah. I'm trying to get scores from last week.
I was curious what y'all's thoughts were on the college football playoff rankings. I saw a whole lot of people on Twitter getting riled up about Oregon being over Texas. With the same wins and losses, but strength of schedule, Texas's strength of schedule is a lot stronger. Curious what y'all's thoughts were on it, if y'all had seen that at all.
Yeah, I mean,
I've seen that. Go ahead.
I mean, I saw it. I get the argument behind it because this is all about strength of schedule. This is all about who's your best loss, or whatever you want to say, the worst loss and best win, type thing. And if you look at Oregon's schedule, I mean, they really, I don't know. There's not a whole lot of impressive wins there. If you look at their schedule, I know they had their one big win was over Utah. They had the close loss to Washington, but if you look at the rest of their schedule, it's not a whole lot there. And I saw the argument saying, I saw some mad Texas fans that were saying, why are we scheduling Alabama and Michigan in our non-conference? Let's go schedule Portland State. I mean, that's what Oregon's doing. And, it's obviously not affecting them in the college football playoffs. So why are we scheduling these marquee opponents in our non-conference if it's not going to pay dividend in the college football playoffs? Our big win against Alabama, I feel like should have boosted us over Oregon. If you look at strength of schedule and the whole resume in general. So I get the argument, but at the same time, you could sit here and spit back and forth, but you just got to win. You just got to keep
Yeah.
winning, and everything will work out the way it's supposed to. But I for sure get the argument. I don't understand why Oregon's getting the amount of love that they are getting. So
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I think a lot of that has to do with their. I think a lot of it has to do with their teams that they're about to play. I mean, or USC, I think, is the big one. And then Oregon State. I mean, they can always get that game is always different between the two.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason because if they lose one of those, it drops them out anyways. But if they win both of those, win their conference,
right.
depending on who they play in their conference championship. But if Texas, I was doing this scenario, if Texas wins out, we're 89% chance to make the playoffs. No matter what the scenario. So ESPN has this scenario playoff predictor. And if Texas wins out and wins the Big 12, we're 89% to make the playoffs.
That's a really good percentage.
I don't think that's why I just
crazy.
I can't. I don't really care. I can't really get into the involvement right now. Like the last week of the season, yes.
That's too early.
It'll all balance itself out for me.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's just still too early to even talk about percentage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been going in it in my head just trying to think about what the pathway is to the playoffs still for us with the teams that are ahead of us, looking at their schedules. I mean, it'll be tough. There's not Oregon, yes, but Florida State doesn't have much competition left on their schedule, and I don't know what the likelihood of us being voted up for strength of schedule compared to top four.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you look at it, if we went out, the only way we wouldn't make it is if you see 4 undefeated conference winners, obviously. If you see Ohio State win undefeated, if you see Georgia win undefeated, if you see Florida State win undefeated, and you potentially see a Washington team go undefeated, then I think you see Texas sitting there at number 5. You know, there's obviously you have 4 undefeated teams, but I mean that happen, I mean that would be pretty wild with how the season's gone. So I mean, I kind of agree with you all. We just have to take care of business, and I feel like it opens the door for us. We can't get too caught up looking at the rankings. We have to just worry about who's in front of us the next Saturday.
I'm gonna be rooting for Utah against Washington real hard this weekend. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
same.
And USC against Oregon.
So on these percentages, it has the top 11 teams. So it has Ohio State right now, as everything stands, at 77% to make the playoffs. Has Florida State next at 62%. Michigan at 43%. Alabama at 41%. Texas at 40%. Georgia at 39%. Oregon at 38%. And Washington at 31%. So as far as percentages go, it still shows Washington still behind the 8 ball, which is wild. But if they win out, like if Washington wins out, that's going to create absolute chaos.
Yeah.
Like if every team were to win out, you've got Ohio State, Florida State, Michigan, Georgia, and Washington all at undefeated. That's going to be bonkers.
Yeah, I mean, there really wouldn't be any controversy.
That could be a nightmare.
As a committee, you would just have to put the undefeated teams in, and you would be sitting there with, potentially a 1-loss Texas team on the outside.
Did y'all know the college football committee is made up of ADs from the different universities?
No.
I didn't know it was all ADs. I knew there was some, but
I just heard that. I was listening to a podcast earlier today, and they were saying that, and it's the first time I'd ever heard it. I was surprised and curious how they try to not be biased at all.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So games this week. Yeah. Or do you guys want to talk about any games from last week?
I mean, there were a couple of good games. I mean, Ole Miss surviving Texas A&M. Clemson.
Jimbo's on the hot seat.
Bro, A&M, dude.
Yeah.
Those guys just find ways to lose it at this point.
Yeah, they are found a way to lose. You look at who else was there? Georgia handled business versus Missouri in a decently tight game. That was a decently
Yeah.
tight game for sure. It wasn't quite as close as the score made it seem. Clemson upsetting Notre Dame.
Clemson stood up, yeah.
Clemson stood up. Obviously,
Dude,
Oklahoma
freaking
State.
Air Force. Zach and I both
That-
lost a parlay.
that
bet
one was
on
the one that
stupid Air
surprised me,
Force
yeah.
game, dude.
Oof.
It was
Yeah,
like
that one surprised me a lot.
like we threw that in there just for like, oh yeah, let's just be like an easy cakewalk team to throw in there. And I could not believe that happened. So frustrating.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, wasn't
dude.
it like 17-0? I think I looked at it and was like,
At half,
it's
yeah.
17-0. I was like, wait,
It was
wait,
23.
they put it on the wrong team. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, final score was 23.
Yeah, it ended up 23-3. But it was, yeah, when I looked at it, it was 17-0 in the first quarter. And I was like, wait, they have that on the wrong team. And sure
Didn't
enough,
make
nope,
any
that
sense.
was not the case.
Oh yeah, Bedlam. Did we
Look
talk
at all-
about Bed? That was a
yeah,
crazy game.
yeah,
That was a crazy game.
yeah.
And Ollie
Let's
Gordon's
be
the
real
real
here.
deal, man.
Yeah, it was a shame that old Stoops stepped out of bounds, so they couldn't call pass interference. It's a shame. I didn't see a pass interference call at all. I thought it was a right call. But Oklahoma just being Oklahoma now, just deciding to lay down. And it's against the teams that, well, luckily it's Oklahoma State. We don't get to play them. So, which I thought that's weird this year. Of all the teams, I feel like Oklahoma State should have been on our schedule. But
Oklahoma State not being on ours and K-State not being on OU's both seem like a shame.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Let's take off BYU
Yeah.
and actually like play the real teams. And I feel like that hurts us too, because imagine if we played them, I feel like our strength of schedule goes up exponentially.
We'll play them in
Like
Dallas.
take out like a BYU. Yeah, we'll play them in Dallas. That'll work. But I mean,
How about,
Iowa State?
How about Bama taking care of business at home, night game?
Like to
Milroe looked really good, man. He looked really good, and that Alabama
another
defense.
another
glowed
fan
up.
base going panic mode is LSU.
Yeah. Yeah.
This was a chance.
Someone posed a question. That posed a question this week. If Alabama and Texas played each other this week, saying that it's basically the same squad, right? Quinn
Yeah.
is playing. Does Texas still win?
I think it'd be a really close game, but I still put on money on Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be tough. It would be
at this
tough for
point,
sure.
You can't really.
Way
I mean,
closer.
you just got to go off the history, and history is we already smoked them in their house. So that's the only thing I can go off of. So the answer is yeah, Texas would win again. Yes. What was another? There was another one. That Rutgers trying to put it on Ohio
they were
State.
hanging
Like
there
they
for a
played that
while.
game. Yeah, for a long time. I'm like, well, bro, this is Rutgers. Like no one even knows what city they actually play at.
I think that was actually the founding college football. I think is Rutgers, if I'm mistaken. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's one of the main ones. Yeah.
But I still can't tell you where they play.
But I don't know. Ohio State just seems like that team that just keeps getting by with a lot of these wins. Like they're good, but it just seems like they just keep getting away with it. I think Michigan's going to put it on them. I don't know. My call is that game Michigan will absolutely demolish him, and it'll make them look real bad in that in the polls. I mean, at this point, who do they play? Penn State? Is it Penn State Michigan this week, or is it Penn? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, Michigan at Penn State.
So Penn State plays Michigan this week. Ohio State plays Michigan State. That's an easy win. Just go and mark that on the board now.
You got Georgia, Ole Miss. Should be interesting for sure.
I think that Arizona Colorado game will actually be pretty good to watch. I don't know. You can just see Colorado fans are starting to. Luckily, that's subsided a little bit, but it's they're still a good football team, and they'll be even better. But I think that'll be a good game to watch. You have Utah, Washington. That's going to be huge. I never thought I'd say number 13 Tennessee versus number 14 Mizzou.
Yeah, it's
Crazy.
bizarre.
That's weird. Ole Miss, Georgia. I mean, that's the last real shot we got at Georgia losing until the conference, I think.
Yeah.
And they play
Agreed.
Bama for the conference.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll be cheering with Jaron this weekend. Y'all ready for pick'ems?
Yeah. Oh, let me go over. So
Scores.
the last 2 weeks, I went 0-3 2 weeks ago. The other boys went 2-1, and then I went 2-1 this week. Seth went 0-3 this week, and Jono went 2-1. So Jono has clawed his way back. The standings
go.
are now. Myself and Seth are 9-10-1, and Jono's 9-11. We're
Let's go.
right there. So it's a fresh slate, boys. It's go time now. So you're not talking me out of any more picks, whatever I pick. I don't care if it's a boring pick. What do you guys got for this week?
I'll go for it. I had to change one of mine just because I can't stomach the idea of it. I had Michigan over Penn State, but I want Michigan to lose so bad, so I had to mark it out. I'm gonna do KU over Texas Tech. Line is 3.5. I think KU will cover. Mizzou straight up over Tennessee. Mizzou's got them at home, and I like that one. It's more hopeful, but we'll see. And then OK State over UCF to cover -2.5.
The Kansas is -3.5, yeah.
3.5, yep.
And then what was your second one?
Mizzou over Tennessee, straight up.
Okay. And then OK State. Got it. Jono, what you got?
I got Bama to cover over Kentucky. They're going into Kentucky. Bama's 11-point favorite. I also have Missouri over Tennessee. I didn't have time to change that one, Seth. You kind of just threw that one out there, and it was already in there, so there's nothing I can do about that one. And then I'm going to go out on a limb here and pick Penn State with the upset. Penn State with the upset. Gus Johnson's going to be calling the game. I can't wait to hear it. I think Penn State sneaks it out. Michigan's a little sidetracked right now. They got a lot of things coming down the pipe. Harbaugh could be suspended potentially. Dude, that's crazy. There's a lot more coming out.
Dude, it's a never-ending saga.
It's got to be distracting, right? It's got to be distracting in that locker room. So yeah. I think that's obviously Happy Valley is a really tough place to play. So I'm gonna take Penn State with the upset.
I wonder if that's gonna affect their playoff voting too.
Yeah, I wonder.
Like one loss for Michigan could very well just push it to where they go, yeah, no, that's enough for us.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It was convenient that. Well, it was convenient that they had the most points scored on them all season last week, right?
Yeah.
I mean, interesting.
Yeah, funny how that works, huh? What you got, TJ?
Yeah.
Jono, your first pick, did you take it straight up or did you take the spread?
I took the spread, so I took Alabama to cover the 11.
Okay. Sorry, go for it, TJ.
I'm going against my gut here. And unfortunately, I'm sorry, Mac Brown, but I'm going Duke to cover. It's 14.5. I feel like that's should be less than that, but I'm taking the points, 14.5.
I like it.
I am taking the crybaby over Oregon. And I'm taking straight up. I'm not even taking.
Is that
I'm
where are
not
they playing
taking-
that game?
They're playing in Oregon, Eugene.
That'd be an awesome win.
So, yeah, I don't want to hear the fact that I picked easy picks.
You went for it,
And
dude.
then
I like it.
we're gonna go bottom of the barrel here. We're gonna go Sun Belts. I just picked a
Oh,
Sun Belt
wow.
schedule.
Okay.
We're taking Texas State over Coastal Carolina. The spread is 1. Texas State
Okay.
-1 over Coastal
Oof.
Carolina. Bobcats come away with a dub. Texas State is 6-3 on the season, 3-2 in the Sun Belt. Coastal Carolina 6-3 on the season, 4-2 in the Sun Belt.
Jeez.
Going to be a absolute barn burner. Make sure to tune into ESPN The Ocho.
I think Coastal
Game.
Carolina's gonna smack the crap out of
Yeah,
them.
dude, that's yeah. Anything Eastern Carolina now that after that baseball season, it's like no, nothing. Don't give them any love. That's it, boys. Big game this week. Yeah, a lot of fun games to watch. I'm excited for it. We're back.
We're back.
And by the way, I'm champion, man. I'm a champion. I
I am
can't get
champion.
away from it. I'll just be wearing Ranger gear with my Longhorn gear for the rest of the time at this point. It is it's yeah.
Isn't it crazy? We're already in
Never
week
gonna happen,
11.
so get used to it. Yeah, the last
it's been a blur.
the last month has, because of baseball and everything else at the same time, has been so fast. And at the same time, it feels like the first series of the playoffs was a year ago. Like, it's how long
Yeah.
it feels that this last month has been. It's absurd. And now you look at the schedule, it's like, oh, we got 3 games left, and then we're at the Big 12 championship. And it's like, whoa, we're getting close here. So it's time to buckle up, time to get focused again, enjoy some football. Yeah. You guys got anything else?
No, I don't think so.
No, I think we touched it all.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Hey, make sure to like and subscribe. Join us on Twitter. Join us on Instagram and Jonos. Do it. Figure it out.
Wrong way.
Nope. Join us on there. Chat along with us. We love your guys' feedback. But other than that, let's go beat TCU. We'll see you boys next week. Hook 'em.
Welcome.